What do you think your main message is? What's the main thing that you want to get across to the world?
My main message is to resist the slave mind. I say this all the time. To understand that every single thing you're being told has an agenda behind it, or you wouldn't be told it otherwise. To examine every strongly held belief you have and try and identify where it comes from and why you have it. I sit and argue with people, I discuss things with people, and they so fervently believe a point. And I say, why do you believe that so much? Like, do you have personal experience? No, but I saw the news. Why do you believe? The news told you X, and now you are desperate. You will sit here for hours arguing that point. A lot of people are completely empty vessels, ready to be programmed. And I try and tell people, listen, to just stop for a second and understand that the things they're telling you to believe are not necessarily for your benefit. The people who make the rules don't make the rules for the benefit of everybody. They make the rules for the benefit of the people who make the rules.
Yeah.
It's the game. So telling people to resist a slave mind and just be critical thinkers, keep their brain open, pay attention to things, be perspicacious, that's the general theme. And it doesn't matter whether you're left, right, liberal, man, woman, etc. It's just think for yourself. That's the general message.
Talk to me about the Matrix. When you say the Matrix are out to get you and all this stuff, who is the Matrix?
Have you seen the movie The Matrix?
I actually haven't.
You've never seen the movie?
No, I haven't.
Oh, bro, you got to watch it.
I imagine it's kind of like the Truman Show or...
Kinda. So basically in the Matrix, there's an artificial reality, a computer generated reality, and people are being harvested for their body heat in a real world, and their minds are being occupied by this computer generated reality. And the basic premise of the show is that their body is being used for what is important, and they just distract their mind so that their body can stay alive long enough to give the machines what they want. And I really, truly believe that's a perfect analogy for the world today. We live in a world where people are being extracted for their value, their physical value, whether you're digging holes or carrying garbage or whatever. And your mind is constantly distracted by garbage. It's distracted by TV shows and concerts and clown world. I call it clown world because it's a never-ending circus. All this garbage they distract you with. First it's COVID, and then Putin cures COVID the day he invades and COVID's cured. And it's all just a big scam from head to toe. And the reason I call it the Matrix is because a false reality is being projected onto humanity, and they do that by controlling narratives. If they allowed people to have critical and open conversations about, let's say, COVID, at the height of the pandemic, it never would have lasted 3 years. But the reason, because they censor and delete one entire side of the argument, then you're only left with their version of reality, and they're projecting a reality. And they do that with nearly every subject. There are so many subjects you can't have an open discussion on. And if they delete all of one side and only keep one side there, then that's a false paradigm, it's a false reality, and that's what they're doing. And they're convincing people to act in certain ways and do certain things which are not necessarily in their best interest or necessarily true. We live in a world where I don't think the average person realizes how much they are lied to. From the way money works is a lie, financial system's a lie, judicial system's a lie, medical health care is a lie. It's all a lie, it's all a scam. Just go to work, pay your taxes. And that's why I call it the Matrix.
So what would you say the average person that's maybe, thinking, oh my gosh, I'm being controlled, maybe this isn't true, maybe that there's an agenda behind the mainstream media and the news and the government?
Maybe. Maybe. I mean, there is. I mean, this is the thing. You made a good point, because sometimes people say to me, well, maybe there is an agenda. What do you mean maybe? How can there maybe be an agenda behind the mainstream news? You're in charge of the world, you own the news. Are you going to tell the truth? If you had a bunch of slaves and a bunch of suckers working their asses off for pennies, are you going to tell them the truth? Would you?
I mean, I can't possibly imagine that situation.
Why the fuck would you tell them the truth? The truth? How does the truth benefit?
So what's their benefit then? They own everything. They own the newspapers, the media. What is the agenda of the Matrix?
The agenda is just narrative control.
Right.
The agenda is narrative control, and as long as they control a narrative, they can control the populace to do whatever they need them to do. It doesn't matter if they convince you to be afraid of the common cold and stay in your house and destroy your own business and not see your own fucking grandmother for 2 years. It doesn't matter if they convince you that the planet's setting on fire and global warming is real, and now for some reason if they tax you, it'll fix it. It doesn't matter what it is. They create a narrative. They prevent people from talking the counter to that narrative. They now own reality. You change all the Google search results, everything online says a certain thing must be true, and then you weaponize it for your own benefit, whether it's higher tax rates or more control over our movement or giving people's freedoms away, etc. The world used to be based on freedom, especially in the Western world. During communism, etc., the Western world used to stand up and say, the difference between us and the communists is that we're free. You live in this country, it's a free country. But that's not the truth anymore. So now that everyone's starting to slowly understand it's not a free country, you have to replace the freedom with something else. And the only thing that humanity will accept in return for freedom is safety. So they say, listen, you're no longer free. You can no longer say what you want to say or go where you want to go or do what you want to do. You can't go outside for this 3 years. You can't do that. You can't drive that car because of fucking the polar ice caps, whatever it is. But don't worry, it's for your safety. We're going to keep you safe. And that's what it is. It's all a big fucking scam. It's a lie. The people in charge of your world don't give a shit about our safety. If something bad happened to you, heaven forbid, let's say me. Let's say I got a terrible disease. Let's say I got cancer and I went to the NHS. I'd be waiting fucking months to get anything done. But then they want to text me 4 times a day, begging me to take an injection. And that's for my own good. It's bullshit. It's a scam. It's a fucking scam. Head to toe, all of it's a scam. It's a lie.
One of the first videos I saw of yours was about university.
Yeah.
Which was really interesting to me.
Another scam.
Well, interesting, yeah. I mean, I wasn't very good at school, and when I was at school, I feel like at school, certainly my experience is they push you down one of 2 directions. It's either go on to be academic, go to university, or if you're a bit of a dum-dum, then learn a trade, go to college, learn to be a builder. And for me, I thought, okay, well, I'm gonna have to go down the second route. Yeah. And when I was 16 and I was doing a bit of Googling, I came across some interesting books like Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad Poor Dad. And it was just crazy to me because I'm 16 and I'm thinking there's this whole other world about investments and business and entrepreneurship, which is completely not taught at school.
Completely, because that's not, and it's interesting you say that because I have this saying and nobody seems to understand it. I say money's not real. And people say, what do you mean money's not real? Money's not real. It's not real. Money's not real. It's numbers on the screen. It's not a real thing. And once you start putting systems in place that generate huge sums of money, and once you get to the point where money basically has no value, like I do, I can go buy a Ferrari today and my bank balance will look basically the same. It doesn't change anything. So money isn't real. It's just numbers. It's all fucking invented. It's printed from the sky. It's garbage. You just have to find a way to make people understand your value, and yeah, it can just appear from absolutely nowhere. And I went from completely broke to hundreds of millions of dollars. And I know what you're saying in regards to this other world, because there is a subsect to humanity. It's kind of strange. When I was broke, when I was on a council estate in Luton, I thought everyone was poor. And now that I have money, it kind of feels like everyone's rich. I go to buy a plane and they're like, no, I'm sold out. I thought you fucking sold out of planes? I go to buy a Bugatti and they're like, sold out. I'm like, all the shit's
Who are these people?
Yeah, everyone's bought everything. Like, and it's crazy how many people out there have such ridiculous sums of money, truly ridiculous sums of money. There are so many rich people in the world, and it's kind of like your reality is based on, it's the Matrix, right? If you're broke, everyone's broke. If you're rich, everyone's rich. And a lot of people have this separation. I was lucky to live in both worlds, but a lot of people have this separation. So.
And most people in that rich world are quiet about it.
Yeah.
Maybe because, have you noticed as well with the media, in every movie, the jerk is always a rich guy. Titanic, Jack's poor, but the narrative, I don't know if it's the same, you grew up in America, right?
Well, but you have to protect yourself. You have to protect yourself from, obviously, crime. You have to protect yourself from governments. You have to protect yourself from backlash. A lot of people do not see the risk reward of being so loud and so vocal.
Yeah.
I do, in my particular circumstance. But yeah, it'd be easier to be quiet about certain things.
The only thing more annoying to British public about someone being rich is them being rich and vocal about it.
And that's and I understand why, but I built absolutely all of it myself. I started, like I said, from a council estate in Luton. I did all of it myself. And it's interesting you said about discovering that other world, because I always knew the same thing. When I was going to college, you're talking about the 2 routes. There was A-levels and B-Tech, they used to call it,
College
college, B-Tech, like the trades, or there was A-level to go to university. So I did a separate path to you. I was going to the A-levels to go university. And I was walking to college with a couple of my friends, and a Ferrari drove past. And I said, bro, you see that? And he goes, yeah, what about it? And I said, doesn't that piss you off? I must have been about 16. He goes, why? So this dude has 400 G's for a car, 400 grand. I'm walking 4 miles to college because my mom hasn't got any car. He has 400 grand. Do you think he works a job? Do you think he's fucking behind a counter somewhere? He knows something about the world that I don't know.
Yeah.
And they were like, well, he's rich. I'm like, yeah, I know. I didn't say he wasn't rich, dummy. I'm saying he knows something about the world I don't know. And I was intrigued, and it angered me. I couldn't sleep for weeks. I was pissed off. Every time I saw somebody with genuine money, I understood that everything I was being told and taught and they were trying to make me believe just simply wasn't true. I was like, this is bullshit. None of these people are getting these things by following the path that the system is trying to make me follow. Nobody, and everybody intrinsically knows this. If you go to if you're at a BP, you're at a petrol station, and I pull up in my Lamborghini, nobody goes, wow, he went to school. Yeah. He studied hard.
Right.
Do they fuck? They're like drug dealer, gangster. And they do that because they know that the easiest way to amass wealth is to break the rules, because the rules are not designed to allow most people to make money. You can make money within the rules, of course you can, but most people don't. Most people who follow the path work, consume, die. That's it.
Yeah.
So I always knew the same thing as you, and I knew there had to be another way. I knew that just working for money was a paradigm that wasn't true. And then you understand making your money work for you, and you understand delinking your time from money. Yeah. You start learning to understand these things, but eventually you build a system, and you build an ecosystem like me. I have 60 or 70 people work for me all around the world. And things just happen and money just kind of appears as long as everything's well organized.
Do you think that it's kind of becoming more well-known, though, entrepreneurship and how to get into business now than it was, say, 10, 20 years ago?
It's certainly easier to make money now than ever before.
I think so.
Oh, it's easier than ever before to make money. I meet so many fucking 17-year-olds, 19-year-olds, kids with an e-com store or some crypto garbage, or to make quick, fast money now is almost easier than it's ever been. Now, that has advantages and disadvantages. I was talking to a young guy the other day, and he was 22, I think, and he caught a crypto pump. He made like $4 million in the last bull run. And now all the coins have gone down, whatever. He sold some. He has like 1.5 million. He's like, oh yeah, so I'm waiting for the next pump. I was like, bro, the problem with you is you've now been ruined for life, because you're 22, you made easy money, and you think that you don't have to ever do any serious work. You also have no skill. Problem is with the crypto pump, it doesn't teach you anything. He didn't learn sales, marketing, staff management, stress tolerance.
You need that.
Nothing. He doesn't know how to do anything. So he's just sitting there just gambling on shit coins, waiting for the next one to pump. And he's 22, and his ass is never going to want to get a real job, and he doesn't have any skills. So I think he's in a lot of trouble, truthfully. And I made this clear to him. So it can be a detrimental thing. It can be a bad thing. But in terms of making money, it's certainly easier than it's ever been, because we live in a global marketplace now. You can reach the world, and all you have to do is have a message worth making people listen to. The hard part about making money today is that we live in an attention economy. You have to garner attention from people. It's difficult, right? Because anyone can start a YouTube channel, but it's getting the views that's hard, right?
Yeah.
So you have to be talented enough and skillful enough to garner attention. But if you can garner attention, then you can make money. I think that's the new modern way to view the world. It's an attention economy. It doesn't matter what you do. If you're getting attention, you'll make money from it. Yeah. And I think that's what's happening en masse.
Interesting as well, because when I first started getting interested in investments and stuff, I'd start going on courses, getting mentors. Because if you want to be good at anything, you need a coach. If you want to be, you're a world champion kickboxer. I'm sure it would have been impossible if you hadn't have paid for a coach.
Absolutely.
Right. And all my friends at the time were saying to me, oh, that's so risky. What are you doing? And I'm thinking, you're going to uni to study drama. For 4 years, and I'm learning about property and investments, and you think what I'm doing is risky.
Yeah, investing in yourself, especially learning from somebody who is already doing what you want to do, is not risky. And you're right, the people who believe that's risky are just stuck deep inside the matrix, because you're right, they're going to pay 60, 70,000 pounds for a degree from university, which is one, completely useless. And secondly, it's always kind of been amazing to me. You talked about kickboxing. If I want to go learn kickboxing, I expect my coach to be able to fight. If I want to go learn piano, I want to see my piano teacher play piano. But people will go to university and learn business from a dude who's never had a business, who's broke. It's just like, it's clown world. It's stupid. Like, education's becoming decentralized, which is actually one of my products, so I'm going to talk about it. But education is becoming decentralized now with the internet, and the smartest thing you can do is look at somebody's life and go, this guy's living, or he's doing exactly what I want to do. I'll learn from him. That is the smartest thing you can do, as opposed to just going to these traditional educational systems. Because the reason university is such a massive scam, and I said this a million times, is because it exists in an echo chamber. It doesn't exist in fair competition. The reason universities still manage to function is because they'll give children loans to go to these schools, but you're not allowed to use the loan for anything else. If I were to say to the average 18-year-old, here's 50 grand. You can either start your own business, you can buy crypto, you can buy mentorship from you, me, another millionaire online, you can fix your house up or your parents' house up, you can buy a nice car, or you can go get a degree. And you were to give them the 50 G's. How many people do you think would choose a degree?
None.
Nobody. Zero. So they link the loan to the degree. So the choices are either don't get the loan at all, or get the loan and go to school. Which means that the universities don't exist in fair competition. There's no fair competition within the entire educational system. As soon as there's fair competition, nobody would choose it, because it's such a terrible choice.
Yeah.
It suffers from double inflation. It gets more expensive every year, and more degrees exist every year. So the value goes down, the price goes up year on year on year on year. It's a total waste of time.
Yeah.
But children are bored and they think, well, I don't get the money any other way, so I may as well take it. And that's why the whole educational system's a scam. I actually have my own university. I'm relaunching it. I'm changing the name. And that's going to be relaunching very shortly. But I have a university that teaches 18 modern wealth creation methods, and it's purely online. And we teach a different way to make money than perhaps the traditional system. And it's cheap. It's like $50, $60 a month. For me to get 100,000 students like I have now at $60 a month is not impressive. What's impressive is that I keep them. I'm giving more value than the $60 a month. They can go and spend that $60 in Nando's or buy some coffee or do anything else they want with it. But they choose to go to my school because I'm existing in a fair, competitive environment and I'm outperforming. A university can't do that. All these other universities can't do it because they're all a fucking scam.
Yeah, they're probably comparing it to university where you're literally paying 30 grand to learn from someone who's being paid 30 grand to get 30 grand.
It's all a scam, yeah. Whereas what we're doing is actually, teaching people. We have massive success stories. Obviously, we have a lot of people who are making a lot of money. We have all the reviews, everything on the website, CobraTate.com. But the fact that people have a choice, they don't have to invest in my university. They can take that money and spend it on anything else on the planet, and they still see my university as worthwhile.
Yeah.
That's how I know it's a competitive product.
Surely you think there's a place for university there?
If you want to be an architect and you have to study architecture, if you want to be a lawyer and you have to study law, that's fine. If you decide I personally never knew what job I wanted to do. Mm-hmm. These people seem to be very passionate about a particular trade. I just wanted to have a lot of money. If you just say, look, I'll pay you $1 million to dig a hole, I would have dug a hole.
Yeah.
I'll pay you $1 million to fly a plane, give me a choice.
Yeah, but if someone wants to be a doctor, they want to be a lawyer, go to
university and do it.
Yeah, but know what you're doing it for. Don't go and study drama and end up a dramatic McDonald's worker 5 years later.
Yeah, or don't study something generic like business or something generic. And even though business is obviously a good thing to know, but it's generic and it's hard to apply. I mean, in my experience, like imagine if I didn't have all this money and I had to go get a job again, I'd get a sales job because I've always been a salesman. And I think that's a very important life skill to have, to be good at sales and to deal with the stress and have a commission-only environment. And I think these things are good. But I don't know if they even teach sales in university. Do they have any serious sales courses? I hardly
doubt it.
It's all garbage. They don't teach anything important. They just teach anything. They teach things that are going to keep you inside the slave mind. And they want you to go to school and then go to college and then go to university and get in debt. And you have to be in debt so that now you have to work. And you're working and you're in debt. And then they want you to take on more debt if possible in the form of a mortgage, which a lot of people do, which we can talk about because I know you're the property guy.
Massive, yeah.
And then you're in debt now. And once you're in debt, you can't really quit your job and it's very difficult for you to leave the country. And now they can hold things over you. That's the goal. It's all about control mechanisms, and the system is very well designed to make sure that people are conditioned to obey. It's very hard for the average person to say no to anything. Unless you have millions and millions and millions of dollars, it's very difficult to even have an opinion on subjects. I have friends with normal jobs, and they say to me in private, yeah, man, bro, I wish I could talk at work. They can't say anything. HR will wreck them. You're not allowed an opinion. You're not allowed to talk. It's just work, consume, die, shut up. Believe what you're told. That's how it is. It's clown world. It's a slavery.
I think when it comes to the finances and what I've heard you say about money, I think you're pretty bang on.
Yeah.
I know you've been recently cancelled. Well, you cancelled. You're still everywhere on social media.
They can't cancel me.
You're still everywhere on social media.
They've tried, but they can't.
What do you think the reason was? I've seen some of the things that you've said that are controversial.
That's not why they canceled me. They attempted to cancel me because I became the most Googled man on the planet. And I had mass influence over the youth, especially males, 18 to 23, 24-year-old males. Yeah. And those are the backbone of the slave force. And we always have been and always will be. It doesn't matter if you look at modern times or ancient times. If you had to build an aqueduct or a road or raise an army, you'd go and find the 18 to 22, 23-year-old fighting age males. We're the most important demographic on the planet. We're the strongest. We have the most energy. We're the most capable of doing the most difficult tasks. And they try very hard to police that demographic. Specifically, the reason that they talk all this garbage about toxic masculinity and the reason that they purport in every single movie that men are getting beaten up by chicks and every single family movie on Netflix, the woman's the smart one and the dad's a bumbling idiot and all these different things is they're trying to reduce the masculine tendency to rebel to a degree because they want this subsect of the population ready to either go die in a ditch or go work for fucking nothing. And what they don't want, the last thing they want is this subsect of the population to think because That's the subsect of a populace which causes a revolution. If millions of 18 to 25-year-old men stand in one place, that's a revolution. That's it. It's over. It's not the women marching. The women can march. That's fine. But when shit happens, men have to come along and deal with it. Police have to protect them. Women can march and have an opinion. That's great. But an actual revolution is going to be men, because eventually it's going to become violent. And they don't want large groups of men standing up and going, wait, 3 years you just took all our money, destroyed our businesses. Now the pound is falling. You're inflating us out of the housing market. We don't stand a chance of ever having any kind of financial independence. You're destroying our energy sector to save Ukraine, money laundering. This is garbage. And if enough of them get in a big group in London, then something has to change. And they don't want anything to change.